Okay, here we go again. All right. Give me one sec. I saw it. One sec. Travis, you said, "Where's Rob? Where's Rob at 10:17?" You know where I was? I was sitting right here, and I have this all lined out because I said I'm going to show proof. Well, I don't know how to show it live, but and as soon as I have new tabs, I guess, yeah, tabs set up at the top of my laptop, I push it because I was going to read from it. Boom, disappeared on me. Rob, I got your email, by the way. All right. Hello, welcome to Convict Inc. I'm the host of the show, Robert Rosso. And this is what I'm going to do. I will respond to comments and stuff like that, but I want to run this down. And here's the truth of the matter. I should have actually probably written a piece about this and try to submit it to Vice or the Daily Beast or one of them. Well, one of my former editors of Vice is now at the Daily Beast. But anyway, this story, this R. Kelly stuff got a lot of media attention. This is like the fourth piece I'm doing about this, and it's because I know Mikael Stine. So let's go back. I'm going to do the whole rundown because this will be in a video format later. And let me do it that way. All right. First of all, R. Kelly, through his attorney, Beau Brandley, filed a motion on the 11th of June alleging, or the motion was emergency motion to be placed on home confinement. Okay. The government has responded since then. The Beau has responded, and in each of the court filings, the heart of the matter, or central to their argument, is an affidavit from a guy named Mikael Glenn Stine. Mikael Glenn Stine alleges or says that he is a member or was a member of the Aryan Brotherhood, and he's a commissioner. Now, in his affidavit, he says was a commissioner, is a member of the Aryan Brotherhood. R. Kelly's attorney, Beau, was on News Nation with Ashley Banshee, and he's on there saying that Stine is a commissioner. Okay, Stine was never a member of the Aryan Brotherhood, and he was never a commissioner. Let me say this. So Stine alleges that in 2023, he was at USP Tucson, and a staff member named Childress, who's probably like intelligence of some sort, SIS or whatever, they don't clarify. Childress approached him and said, "We are sending you, the Bureau of Prisons is sending you to Butner FCI 1 to unalive R. Kelly." Okay, now let's look at Tucson for a minute. United States Penitentiary in Tucson, Arizona. What is it? There is, or since 2016, I cannot find anything with the Bureau of Prisons that talks about specifically gang dropout yards. Since a report in 2016, and I'm not very tech literate, so I mean, maybe it's out there like smack in my face. But here's what I can find on quick Google searches about Tucson. Forget what I know. It says that Tucson is at least 40% sex offenders. Okay, maximum security prison with 40% sex offenders, and they have a sex offender program. I think it's called SOP, or they're SOP prisons. So think about this for a minute. Members of a gang, especially a white gang, cannot or not supposed to, whatever, be on a line with sex offenders. Okay, let me back that up. Members of the Aryan Brotherhood 100% are not supposed to be around sex offenders, or they're supposed to try to do something bad to them. Okay, so Beau Brandley, R. Kelly's attorney, want everyone to believe, and Mikael Stine wants everybody to believe, that he was at a predominantly sex offender maximum security prison, USP Tucson, and at that prison, a member of the Aryan Brotherhood, and at that prison, a staff member told him that they are sending him, not asking him, they're sending him to Butner FCI 1 to unalive R. Kelly. That right there, that right there should be like the end of it. There's no such thing as a member of the Aryan Brotherhood being in general population with sex offenders. It's not, it doesn't happen. Or the guy's a gang dropout, okay? And if that's the case, let's say Stine was a member of the ABs. Let's just dream. You're going to tell me that a staff member is going to approach a 65-year-old guy in terrible shape that is grossly obese and says he has terminal cancer, which he does not have terminal cancer, and I'll get to that too, and I have before. They're going to approach him to go take care of the R. Kelly problem, okay? So let's look at Butner FCI 1 now, where he was sent. What is Butner FCI 1? It is an administrative facility, and you can Google it, and I had everything. I had it, and I opened the tabs, and it wasn't there. So I screwed up somehow. So it's an administrative facility that has a drug program, a sex offender program, a mental health program, and guys with cancer or other medical needs are housed there, such as myself, such as Joey Testa was, such as Carmine Persico, and then you have your high-profile guys, such as Bernie Madoff, such as Jonathan Pollard, okay? So Stine and his attorneys are saying that they're sending a guy from a sex offender United States penitentiary to a sex offender FCI to go unalive R. Kelly. Now, this is what I do have, and I found that's in this email section, and I'm going to read this to you about Mikael Stine, what the courts have said. I've done some of this before on other videos, but let's get into some more of this. This is coming out of a court filing in the United States District Court for the District of Colorado. Civil action. Reporters take note. I have contacted one person in the media. So reporters take note. The case number is 12-CV-01504-BNB. Mikael Glenn Stine, make sure the spelling's correct, Mikeal, Glenn, Stine. I actually think they spelled Michael. It's supposed, he has A in some of them. Anyway. Okay, so let me show you here. That's one, come on. Don't do this. Okay, well, there's the thing about Butner I needed now. Hold on, guys. There's the other thing about Butner I needed. Well, I found him. Okay. Mikael Stine filed to the court, and he alleged that 18 judges and a BOP official conspired against him to have him harmed. Judges. And what he did, he's claiming, is that the judges sent members of the Aryan Brotherhood, while he was in ADX, information confirming that he's a rat. Now, what did he do? Mikael Glenn Stine testified, this is from the court, he's saying that officials sent him money, officials sent AB's paperwork because, and this is the quote, FBI against the Aryan Brotherhood and the Mexican Mafia, that he assisted the FBI against the Aryan Brotherhood and the Mexican Mafia. Testified against, okay? B, assisted the U.S. attorneys in prosecutions of AB and Mexican Mafia members. C, assisted SIS against AB and the Mexican Mafia. Mr. Stine appears to assert that judges in this court have provided information to other inmates that they would otherwise not know and that would cause him harm to be labeled as a snitch in prison. In at least 2 of Mr. Stine's previous cases, he has discussed his background as an Aryan Brotherhood informant. These are in court documents. TMZ, where are you? Now, I have friends that work at law firms, and at 1 o'clock today, they were supposed to be sending me stuff. The actual petition that Stine wrote, where it talks about his life being in danger and what he did. So I can't get it because I don't have Pacer. Somebody like James Proctor, you guys know who that is. He has a channel. James has Pacer. I don't have Pacer. It's like $350 a month or something. So this is really, really easy stuff to obtain, right? The bigger point here is that Mikael Stine is basically the tail that wags the dog of R. Kelly's entire case. There would be no R. Kelly's case if it was not but for Mikael Stine. Now, there will be people that will say that there's other people that are claiming the same stuff, that staff members went to them to unalive R. Kelly. Bullshit. Bullshit. There is no viable threat against R. Kelly. R. Kelly is a prolific child molester or sex offender and or both, who doesn't want or wants out of prison, who really and honestly is probably the sweetest spot in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. That prison is a really good place to do time. Oh, I just found this too. Let me say what it says on a quick Google search of Butner, okay? That the media, TMZ, whatever, and I say TMZ because, you know, they're the gossip for celebrities and stuff. Okay. I Googled what is Butner FCI 1. Is it for gang dropouts? This is what I got back. While not exclusively for gang dropouts, Federal Correctional Institution Butner Medium 1 does house a significant number of inmates who are either gang dropouts or seeking a safe yard environment. This is where the alleged murder plot was supposed to take place. Some inmates have described it as a dropout yard or safe yard where they can be away from gang activity. Additionally, it houses a large population of sex offenders and individuals with special health needs. Special health needs are mental health. There's a mental health program, and people like me who had bladder cancer. Carmine Persico was older, elderly. He needed medical, not assistance. He needed to see doctors often, so they kept him at Butner 1. He wasn't sick enough to be in the hospital, so they'd send him across the street on medical appointments to the hospital. Same thing with Bernie Madoff. Same thing with Jonathan Pollard. Joey Testa, he was in that complex. Joey Testa ultimately went to Terminal Island, which is actually a care level 3 yard. Doesn't have a hospital there, but because there's so many hospitals in the vicinity, that makes it a care level 3 yard, so that makes it like a medical yard, okay? Gang dropout population. This is more about Butner 1. FCI Butner Medium 1 has a reputation for being a place where gang members can go to leave their gangs, often referred to as dropouts. Safe yard. Some inmates view the facility as a safe place to avoid gang violence and find a more secure environment, although this is not universally true, is what it says. Okay, I sent this to this guy poorly. So I actually sent this to a media guy that was asking questions. And again, so I did not know how to forward him stuff from my email or from the stuff I Googled to his email. I mean, I figured it out half-assed, but when I tell you that I'm computer illiterate, I'm not joking. I can barely get it. So anyway, I had the same thing about Tucson. And what Tucson will say is it is a, like I just said, primarily a sex offender program yard. It's also a care level 3 yard for mental health patients, which that means just care level 1, 2, or 3. 3, 4 being the worst, so 3 is pretty nut jobbish. But my point being is these prisons that Stine alleges to have come from and that R. Kelly was at are some of the safest joints. Tucson has its moments. It's still a USP, you know? And like I said before, Butner 1, I've never seen so many fistfights in a prison that people got away with. And that was because they didn't have cameras there. I think that's changed now. Right when I left in January, they were changing it in the complex and putting cameras everywhere, even in the hospital. So there was quite a few fights there for sure. And I used to get kind of a kick out of it because it reminded me of like old school stuff where you can go like, you got a problem with me? And you can just take care of it and it was done. And there was a lot of those. So I will say that. But two things I saw that were real violent there in the 3.5, almost 4 years I was there. But it was sweet spot. He's in Virginia Tech too, which is actually the drug program unit. And I know what cell he's in. He's towards the end of the first hallway. The guy, he had it made. He had it made for being in prison. And I've commented before and said many times, and this is what staff talked about it. Anybody that came to the hospital talked about it. He has a problem with taking showers. Had a serious problem. He had a rubber or vinyl suit that he made, kind of like a workout suit, so kind of like a fat guy sweatsuit, I would imagine. And he'd sweat in that, and then he'd go rinse it off. That's all true stuff, you know. And, you know, a couple guys talked about his boyfriend. I think the guy's name was Garcia. And I think that Garcia has something on the internet about being a celly. But I could be wrong. Matter of fact, what happened was when I got out, I was going to really focus on the R. Kelly stuff just because I just left Butner. I knew two guys and my cellie from the hospital went over across the street to the one. So I'm like, okay, a guy named Keith that I've known for years. They called him Trump, hardcore Trump guy. I ain't going to get into all that. But anyway, I had his mom's number and he had a text service. So I was going to go ahead and do it. And then I got out and I'm like, I really don't want to talk about sex offenders. You know, like I really don't want to. Okay, if it's gossip, I don't care. Okay, he's singing songs at night. He's singing songs on the telephone for soups. I had two staff members that told me that when he went to Butner, and I did a recording about it, that was based off staff, okay? That he had a significant amount of money and they took that. Now, I have had people say that was BS, okay? That'd be easy to find under Freedom of Information. Mikael Glenn Stine stuff would be easy to find under Freedom of Information if you were a news organization. It does take a minute to get stuff out of the BOP, that's for sure. But you can definitely find out about the guy's gang history. But actually, you don't need to, because all you got to do is do a Google search, go on to Pacer, LexisNexis. What's the other ones? Any of the media, any of the legal directories, and it's there. Petitions that he wrote saying that he's in fear, that he wants to get out of BOP custody because he's a prison rat who testified. This saying he testified against them in court. I know there's a couple of former ABs that follow this channel. Maybe if you guys know anything about it, put it out there. Also, the guy from the one of the producers for the news show, asked me if I can show proof. As somebody who has written for Vice in the past, other national publications, international, whatever, I get it. I get what he's saying. And I went to one of my friends that works the law firm. I said, dude, how can we pull proof on this? He wanted inside information from guys at Butner 1 saying this. And I'm like, I can't get people at Butner 1 saying this. But what more do you need than the court documents? A guy's not going to say I testified against the Aryan Brotherhood in court documents in 2010 and even before that, and then jump back in the ABs and become a commissioner, and then have staff go to him, turn to him to go after R. Kelly. It's all a big crock. And, there's more important things in the national and the international news these days, right? But this has become a story. I thought this was okay. This has become a story, and it's a fraud perpetrated on the American people by R. Kelly's and his attorney. This attorney, like seriously, Mikael Stine has been barred from filing lawsuits because he's filed so many frivolous lawsuits. Now, I will tell you this. If you're barred from filing lawsuits, There are ways to get around it, emergency ways, and that's what he keeps trying to do. But what he's doing is it's actually criminal. And I hate being the guy with the show Convict Inc. talking about go after this guy for crimes. If you guys knew Mikael Stine and the extent of what a piece of crap he was, you would understand. This guy goes to prisons. He went to Butner Hospital, putting out the word downstairs that a member of the Aryan Brotherhood, member of the ABs was here, which then makes white guys that. So if any older head comes in that's known in the system, or a white gang member that some people like, or whatever, people get together a care package for that person. So when you hear like Yori Call, he's at Butner FMC right now, for example, right? Yori Call, well, he wasn't part of the order, but he has background in the white supremacy stuff. I forgot exactly which it was his dad, but when he went to Butner, right after I left, he popped up. He's there now. So you hear Yori's there. People have known him for years. He's 80 years old. He's been in prison over 40 years. Everybody gets together a care package. Well, that's what I was involved in this too. That's what they did for Stine. Hey, there's an old AB's coming up. He's going to be put behind a door, blah, blah, blah. White guys get together. I put 2 soups. I remember. I threw 2 soups in and had a big bag for him. That's part of what he does. That's part of his hustle. And then when I went to the cell, like I've said in past videos, and first thing I see is a child molester that just got beat up. Deservingly so by this black dude. And who tolerated him for a while, but he had a mouth. This kid had a mouth on him. This chomo had a mouth. And this dude just bitch slapped him. And he was in the cell with Stine. And that was my first, this is not an AB. And then I went, and in prison, I had access to LexisNexis. It was easy to go ahead and do searches. And boom. The first thing that came up is, I'll never forget, I put Stine, I got his name wrong, popped up, the case came out of the ADX, and then it said, I think it was that case right there, assisted SIS against the members of the Aryan Brotherhood. And I went back to him and I just said, dude, you're not an AB. I know exactly who you are. Because then it dawned on me, I've heard the name Stine before. When you're in prison and you're involved in politics, whether it's black or white, so in my case, white politics, you remember names. Remember the names like Jimbo. I know guys at FCI, Terre Haute that were out. You hear names about Jimbo, and then you hear, okay, well, that was an old AB informant. What's that clown that's still locked? Greshner. So he popped up in the same category as those guys. You know what I mean? That's just the truth of the matter. So what else did I want to say about this? It sucks because, again, I just had this. I thought that I can go on, have StreamYard run, and then talk to you guys, and then push. I put a new tab, StreamYard's under a new tab, and then go back and push. Boom. And then all of a sudden, the case isn't there. It's just a bunch of the Google searches that I did or whatever. So, yeah, and I've lost my voice a little bit earlier today. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to say about that. I do hope tomorrow, my friend who's not watching now, that you get me everything Stine filed so I can go ahead and shoot that out to that dude. From one of the big 3 networks. That's all I'm going to say. I reached out to the guy just random. I was bored Googling. I saw him. Excuse me. His email contact was there. I'm putting snuff in my mouth. Email contact was there, and I just said, boom, here. This is who I am. This is what I know. And he just said, awesome, whatever. So send me proof. And today at 1 o'clock, I talked to my friends who were in the process of sending me proof, and then they got some case that are working on or whatever. So tomorrow I'll have it. I don't know. I will probably put it. Who knows? I'm going to do a story tomorrow that'll make mob fanboys and people that all my haters, they'll love it. They'll love it. It's about me getting well, you guys will see tomorrow. Otherwise, what I'm going to do now is read some of these comments, go back over. Oh, by the way, speaking of comments, let's look at some stupid comments, okay? I want to do idiots for a minute because I told them I would. Oh, no. Did that punk delete it? Oh, he deleted it, man. That was pretty funny. I will say, James Miller, what does anyone expect from a man that believes he can fly? That was pretty funny. Okay. Oh, Jeremy, where's that girl? She's been commenting. I like her. Where's she at? Oh, Diva the Divine Light, shout out to you. I wanted to say that. I just wanted to say, oh, and oh, GBL Live, man. Thank you for you've been putting out or posting the videos and stuff. I wanted to give a shout out to you. There you are. Thank you, and I fucking love the name of your channel. I can relate with grown little boy, man. Yeah, but seriously, thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Okay, so there's Strupet. Okay, Dan, Travis, here I am. Kick Fix. Hey, Rob, what's up, bro? Joey Frakes, I'm sorry. Yo, what up? What's up, Joey? Greg Parrish, what's up from Brockton, Mass, City of Champions 508. Greg Parrish, what's Champions 508? It's probably a stupid question. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm probably doing something. Edwin, what's up? Mr. Robert, many blessings. Thank you. Eduardo Robert, nice work. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Caught a live, Travis. What's up, Travis? I haven't done a live in a minute. I mean, just very short. Yo, what up, everyone? GBL Live. Yeah, he's got a channel. Check him out. Go over there and check it out. I'm behind. I'll catch up. Okay, bro. Again, thank you. Eva. Hi, Robert. Hi, chat. Larry, what's going on? Eva, OCO. What is it? OC forever? OCOV forever. Okay. GBL Live with friends. What up, Eva? Don Strack, hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button. Thanks, guys. Flo, stole Angel's heart. What? Spirit of New Orleans? Okay. Dundee Utility. What up, Rob? GBL Live with friends. I have Pacer. Hey, GBL, listen. Go look at it so you can get his filings. Again, the spelling, you know the spelling by now. James Proctor does all the gadgets. You can find it with Pacer, okay? And I know you've been doing stuff, and I think people gave you some bad time. Man, I'm going to tell you guys something. A lot of R. Kelly supporters out there. There are a lot of R. Kelly supporters. And I do not delete comments. I delete comments about my former wife. And I will say that in the last couple of days, and I want to say this now, I don't have very many people in the chat tonight because I haven't been doing whatever. I've been getting a bunch of stuff about people trying to get me to go in on Chad Marks. People are under the impression that I had something with Chad Marks. I don't care about any comments he made that might have been snippy or derogatory. I don't care. I don't care about his past. I know all about his past. Okay? I have got guys from prison calling me, wanting me to out Chad Marks more. I don't want to. So my point being is I have deleted comments about Chad Marks in the last 2 days. And I don't do that. I don't delete comments. I don't care. People say stupid stuff. I say stupid stuff back. It's a bad habit of mine. Maybe one day I'll grow up or stay a grown little boy like this guy. So I relate. But I don't know what's going on that all of a sudden people are wanting me to say stuff about Chad, and I'm probably doing too much by saying that now. So I don't care about paperwork on him. I don't care about Big Sandy leaving, I don't care about dropout. I don't care. He's doing phenomenal. Whatever. Okay, so it's not going to happen. I'm not going to leave comments up about the dude. It's old news to me. I don't really care. I don't care. He's doing great. He's got a good life. God bless him. Okay, GBL. All right, so look, is my email, I think I put my email on here, didn't I? It's RJ Rosso, RJROSSO 1969 at gmail.com. Okay. I should have it posted there. I thought I did once upon a time, but let's go ahead and talk. Okay. And we'll go from there. But yeah, I definitely, I'm supposed to have it. Okay. But my friends are busy. These guys are former lifers that work at law firms. One of them's 90 years old. Eddie Cox is a white guy who was a former leader of the Black Mafia out of Kansas City. Chad Marks actually did an interview with him. I can now. We'll see what happens soon. James Prox. Karen Reed, guilty or not? Greg, what do I believe? I believe she's guilty. Okay, but I believe that they did a great job. To be honest, I don't know a lot of the details behind it. I've watched bits and pieces of the trial. Okay. The argument about the other cops doing it or whatever, I probably, and this is just a very short, uninformed opinion. Okay. Again, short, uninformed opinion. I did not really do like a deep thing about it. As a matter of fact, just in talking to people, I found out more information. But probably drunk, probably pissed off, backed up. I don't think she ever intended by no means to kill the guy. But again, I can be convinced otherwise if people like put stuff in front of me. But based on her looks too, she has that look of guilty. I don't know. It is what it is. I am Queen Newton OCV. Hey everybody. Hey, what's going on? What's up? I am Queen. All right. Hey, bet Joey would sit at R. Kelly's table for a brunch. Oh, for sure. For sure. Listen. I've talked about it at length before. Joey Testa was the nicest guy in the world. He knew every staff member's name and can tell, and this isn't an exaggeration. He sought out personal information about staff to not for any nefarious reasons, to talk to them, know them better. Hey, how's the kids? How's the wife? Hey, did she do that? Did she go to the doctors? Did she get the doctor appointment? I'm not exaggerating even a little bit. Larry Hall, this is a little bit off. If you guys know who Larry Hall is, he was at Butner 1 too. They have him down for being a serial rapist murder, but I think they only got him for a body or two. Him and Joey have the same eyes. Black. The pupils dilated pretty much always. And the two most evilest eyes I've seen when you look into them are Larry's and Joey's. Larry's more so. They both had Larry had a weird smile all the time. Joey was just a super nice guy. But Joey, look, I've talked a lot of trash about Joey. I've said a lot of good things about Joey too. When it comes to this table issue, some people might not know or might be new to this. There's some new people, new subs for sure. I think a bunch came from your channel, GLB. And so if you guys don't know, I just want to give the background real quick. I was in Butner 1. I had cancer. I was at FMC in 2007 for a year. I then got sent over to Butner 1. The 2 just opened up, but I had a gang separation there, okay? So they sent me to the 1 where I was with Carmine Persico, Joey Testa, Daniel Castelli. Those were the 3 that I was closest with. Stevie, Chucky, there was a bunch of people. It took me a minute to get used to that yard because it was a gang dropout yard, which I was not a dropout. I was there for administrative reasons because of my bladder cancer. So they let me stay there because it was the whole facility was new. So in the past, it didn't matter if you were a gang or not. You didn't have to drop out to go to FCI 1. Now it's even, in the last 5 years, it's really more difficult to get there for gang dropouts. But I hated it because of all the people that were there, the less desirables. And it was Joey that had a talk with me and kind of like said, hey, this is a good deal we got going. No politics is sweet. And he was right. But he was in tight with David Mack. And then I will say after a year, I started talking to David Mack quite a bit too. And I like David Mack. Former disgraced LAPD officer, David Mack. And I Googled him not long ago and looks like he's doing some pretty big things. life. But so I did. There was an incident at Butner too about the table incident where me and Joey Testa had a falling out in the chow hall. I was writing at the time. I was writing about prison issues. He wanted me to write an article that I didn't want to write. Then I wrote an article about the illegal tobacco trade in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. The prison officials got pissed off. They went to Joey to try to stop me from writing, and we had words. And in retaliation, Joey said, if you don't stop writing, I will kick you off you can't sit here anymore. It was his words. And I said, pfft. And I went and sat at the first table, which was chomos, sex offenders, dropouts, all the pieces of shit in the prison. This was at Butner too. And I did it to embarrass Joey because I got up and did it, and I stayed for 2 weeks. People have got on me in the past and said, oh, you sat with chomos, blah, blah, blah. I would do it again. It was great. It humiliated the shit out of him, and that's what it is. So that's what he's referring to apart here. JR needed a brace to support his chicken wing. Okay, Greg, were you beefing in Butner? Greg, wait, was I beefing? Is this like some kind of a little beefing? Tell me unless it's a joke, explain it. I'll AGBO. Perhaps you heard the name Stine while hanging out at the local synagogue. So, Spirit of New Orleans. You know that I did. Oh, I can read off that. Damn, I forgot. You know that when I was a Chino, I was, excuse me, friends of the Jewish Fellowship. And what that meant is at Chino at that time, California Department of Corrections, they had, all groups had certain areas, okay? So the NA and AA people had their own, literally, separate room, like adjacent or away from any of the other buildings. You had, the Muslims had their own deal, actually 2 of them. The Jews had the synagogue / hangout area. Catholics had the church, and then they had an area. So it was these areas where you can go and get away basically from the rest of the prison if you were part of that fellowship. I got in because I started using drugs in prison at that point. And there were 17 or 18 or 19, 17 guys, I think it was, and 3 didn't use drugs. That's when I started using heroin, was in Chino. That's where I first did it. Never did it on the street in my life. Then when I got my life sentence, when I got hit in 97 and went back to the feds, my first day in Leavenworth. Yeah. Anyway, Gino, what's up? What's new, Rosso? Same old, bro. Okay. According to the mob fanboys, a member of the Italian Mafia is unable to lose a prison fistfight. That's not true. That's not true. As a matter of fact, I will say this. I have Benny Giarratano, if you guys don't know, is back. He is sending me documents about one of the people, Harry, I think it is. And he will be on again. Through Benny, one of my old brothers contacted me, and they found out that I was talking about Mikey, I Love My Wife, and Danny Fama. And one of them wants me to do a story about Danny Fama at Allenwood. And what did he do? Danny can fight, but I forgot whether it was, I think he got beat up by, I'm not sure. I actually have a recording of it. I have a recording I can tell. I don't want to do it right now. So my prison phone calls, I usually record. But it talks about a fight. And yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what's up. Yeah. So anyway, Greg Paris, are you still clean, Rob? I'm clean today. I'm clean today. Yes. Hello, Convict Inc. chat. Too blunt for you. Rocky Marciano, Marvin, both from Rock. Okay. I got you, Greg. I got you, bro. I got it. So Marciano, Marvin Hagler, both from Brockton, Mass. 508 is the phone. Got you, bro. I got it. Angel Gotti is making Flo her new. Oh my God. I have not seen anything about Angel Gotti. I am queen. I am not an R. Kelly supporter. Oh, no, just in case, I am Queen Newton. Oh, see, I'm bad about how to say names too. I wasn't, just in case you misunderstood, I wasn't saying that you were, in case you thought that. I'm just saying in general, I got a lot of people, yeah, that were supporters, you know, a little bit surprising. Yeah, for sure. R. Kelly supporters are delusional. There is crazy R. Kelly supporter. Yeah. Hey, I'm Queen. Greg Paris, I thought you and Chad were cool. I haven't talked to Chad in a long time. But all of a sudden, I don't know. Okay. I guess there was a slight that he said or something about me. Not talking smack, but maybe when a conversation with somebody, like I don't want to go into it, but I honestly, it wasn't, it's not like that. Chad and I used to talk, well, I can't say quite a bit. We talked. He was there to help me with YouTube in the beginning. He was there to help me with YouTube. And my former wife, you know, wanted him to talk to me about the issues I was having. That was drinking at that time. So I was clean. And then I mean, it was like for days at that time. And then I drank, and then she called him or something like that. And yeah, he was helpful in that way for sure. And YouTube stuff. Gave me all kinds of advice, told me his stuff. Probably didn't take any of his advice at the time. I'm talking about YouTube. But then I went down to my first violation. He interviewed me from prison. I had no idea what I looked like on the video that I did. I had no idea. Some of you guys have seen it, know what I'm talking about. I did a video when I was totally saturated. I'd been up for days. Some of those days were non-drug induced, but I was up for days for sure. I had done. I left this house. I'd passed out, didn't know why, where, what happened to me. I went to Texas, New Mexico, other places, and I did my PO had told me to turn myself in. I did a video to the judge, to the world, whatever. Oh, and I was completely gone. Chad asked me about that video during an interview. I stuck up for myself, not understanding how bad I looked and was. That video's still up, by the way. It's way back. It's on a live. It's I was on Johnny Mac was on, and it's called My Meltdown or something to do. The title has something to do with My Meltdown. There are clips of the video I'm talking about, and that it's still up. The whole video that I did, my ex took down because she was just totally embarrassed, and I understand why now. It's bad. It's bad. But anyway, after that, Chad and I talked one time, and you know, I've done some stuff on my show that could be offensive to somebody or some people, but I've never said anything bad about Chad personally to anybody because I don't have nothing to say about that. But it was pointed out about some kind of slight. I swear to you, it was okay. But all of a sudden now, I don't know what happened a couple days ago. And yeah, I deleted probably, I don't know, maybe 6 comments or something like that. And got calls from prison of guys wanting me to put stuff out and say stuff. And I, you know, just me talking about it is saying too much, you know. So, but I have nothing against Chad Marks. Rachel, is that Rachel? Rachel, is this Rachel? What, Larry Rachel? Please say yes or no. Okay. To answer your question, magnificent. He was a student of Roy. Yes, excuse me, we spit. My mom's gonna bring. Forget it. She's gonna bring. Oh shit! What did I just do? Okay. I just pushed something that got screwed up. I hope I don't. Okay, I got it back. All right. So let's go back. There's Lonnie. Oh, I'm way behind, guys. Okay. All right. Karen, not guilty. You need. Hey, LBG, what's new? Spirit New Orleans. Are you, hello, Convict Inc. Angel Gotti. R. Kelly supporters delusional. I'm Queen. Yeah, Rachel, let me know. I'm pretty sure you are. And Rachel, I'm asking because I want to know the, how's Larry? He received his master's at the Gemini University. Do you know Oscar Turpin and Kika? Oh, yeah. I know Rich Guy. Oscar, not off the top of my head. David Mack killed Biggie. Gino. Anyway. Hello, Rob. Long time, no live. Good to see you. Hey, what's up, Lonnie? Yeah, I know. By the way, if you guys can donate to the channel, please. You said long time, no live. And immediately I was going to say, I've got stuff I've been doing. Then immediately I thought about my financial situation again, but whatever. From your studies of the law, what kind of impression do you have what the law is and if it's fair and not final assessment of how someone could go about working their own case? Okay, hold on, Lonnie. From your studies of the law, what kind of impression do you have what the law is? Okay. And if it is fair and not final assessment of how someone could go about working their own case. Look, okay, and in your opinion, is being a lawyer hard? Yes. To pass like the bar or something. So to get through the normal test, which I've never done, by the way, I've known some smart people. I'm specifically thinking about a girl that I grew up with whose father had a huge, major law firm, personal injury, super wealthy people. Brother went to USC like dad, passed the bar. She went to USC, partied a little too much, not hardcore, but didn't pass the bar and it like traumatized her. That was a really smart girl. She didn't want to go back and do it again. And then, as far as I know, just worked in the law firm. Is it fair? Being a good lawyer, I believe, is hard. Okay. It's also, once you pass the bar, let's say, for example, right here in good old Arkansas, in Fort Smith, it's all about who you know. Of course, going to jury trial, it's an art. It's an art form, you know. I went to trial. I have been involved in testifying in a trial for the defense. I did a video about that. And I mean, I'm fascinated by it. I wish I could click my heels and be a lawyer and do it. I don't have the discipline to do it. I don't have the discipline to do many things, but I know my friend right now is 60 years old. He would be a lawyer, pass his bar, had a life sentence, did 32 years. And he had an agreement with the courts that they would get him off paper because he's got 10 years paper so he can pass his bar. And he's an arrogant prick, and I know he might watch this. He's an arrogant prick, and he's pissed the judge off, and they've kept him on paper. But he wants to be a trial lawyer and will be. He will be, and he's really good. Shout out to Tom Norad Law Firm in Missouri, and the Samaritan Project. Russell Marks and not related to Chad. They know each other. Russell Marks and Eddie Cox. Eddie Cox is 90, doesn't want to be a lawyer. Getting back to your question, because I ramble. If you're doing pro se litigation, the courts will assist you. I will say that if they got it in for you, you're screwed. But yes, it's hard. Kim Kardashian. I don't know what she's going to do with her law degree now. I don't know if it was if she got favoritism, by doing what she did. But again, God bless her. Doing research and convicting other people that you're right is all lawyers really do. And I don't really see that as being difficult. Okay, well, look, so if you're talking about, again, that's probably my point that I should make. So most attorneys are nothing but plea bargainers. That's one of the problems with our criminal justice system. Nobody goes to trial, okay? Now, and they make it difficult if you lose, right? So me, in my case, I had no choice but to go to trial. When I got busted in 97, it was the feds were investigating while they held me on a parole violation. The state charged me. The feds didn't have enough evidence, and then they did a bunch of digging for 6 months. And when they got everything they needed, they came to me, asked me to cooperate. First told my attorney they'd give me 17 years for nothing. That's just not cooperating, which was, I would have never taken a billion years, especially 27, with a big head, having just made almost $1 million, still believing that I was going to get all my cars back and just being delusional, for real. When I said no to pleading guilty and they offered me the snitch agreement, they went from 5 years, last minute, 2 years. 2 years to testify against my co-defendants. I'd been in prison 13 months at the time. And when I told them to F off, because I literally said that, they had a big meeting, and I thought it was an attorney visit. There was a bunch of cops there, and I told them to go F themselves. And they filed an 851 enhancement on me, which meant when I went to court, this is a rarity too, okay? They don't do this to people. It was new to Arkansas. I was the first person to get the life sentence for drugs in Arkansas. In this district, there was a guy for crack in Little Rock, but they didn't really know how to file the enhancement properly. They filed it prior to me going to court. So when I was arraigned under 851, which was mandatory life. So the magistrate even said, do you realize if I was to plead guilty, mandatory life? If I went to trial and blew trial, mandatory life. Now, going back to your question, the original point, what has happened now with our legal system is attorneys are just geared towards plea bargains, okay? In their defense, they'll say it's the best for their client. What I'm saying is that so many people take these plea bargains because in Arkansas, for example, what they do is they'll offer you these crazy suspended sentences. They'll put them over your head. You plead out, you do little or no time, you violate, you go in front of a judge under a preponderance of the evidence standard, which means the judges could decide if you're guilty or not, and then they can give you all that time. Common number in Arkansas used to be 40 with 20 suspended on a big drug case. You did about 4 or 5 years on that 20, but then you had 20 suspended over your head, okay? So in my case, it was a 30-year suspended sentence, which I just discharged at the age of 53. That's when I would have, but they could have given me time for anything, traffic, anything the judge wanted to do. But they plea bargain everybody. That's common everywhere. You know, this is off the subject too, but when I was up in the jail, I had a huge case back in 97 for this area, okay? It was a really, really big deal. $1 million bond, with a parole hold, so I couldn't make it anyway. In the media, they said that I was the main supplier for this part of the country, blah, just grossly misinterpreted, right? Way, way far out in left field. But I was going to trial. So I had a bunch of dudes in the jail that I guess I influenced, and they were all holding out. Everybody was holding out. The prosecutors were so pissed off, man, because I'd clogged the system. Because I had all these guys saying, hey, man, and there was some guys that could have got off the hook, you know. But I'm going to tell you, as soon as I blew trial, they were beating on the bars to get a hold of their attorney so they can plead guilty. That's the truth. That's the truth. But the law is definitely, it's really, when you really look at it, you know, if I would have took a different path at a younger man in my life, man, being a lawyer would be awesome. You know, these lawyers that go back and do appeals, appellate attorneys, post-conviction attorneys, you know, there's a few really good ones, and I admire those people. You know, even people with the Innocence Project, although some of their clients, well, that's a different story. But they do good work, but it's difficult for sure, Lonnie, for sure. Doing research and convincing other people that you're right is all lawyers really do. Okay. If you, TD Bingham, were in the same room, how would you approach interacting with him? He's an old man now. How would I approach? I was on the same tier as TD Bingham. I would it would be unrealistic, Lonnie, to be honest. So if you're saying would I be the shit talker that I am on YouTube and stuff? Look, I'm not a stupid person. Now, if you're asking me one-on-one with TD Bingham, like I'm 55, he's 7, who knows? But I mean, it's something, that guy that was putting poo in the food, what happened? So I'm not really, you know what I mean? Lonnie, wait, the guy that was putting poo in the food, what happened to him? Are you talking about the guy down in Arkansas I was talking about? So there was a mental health patient that was putting shit in the food in Arkansas. He got beat up, but it wasn't, that was in the state back in the day. Oh, I got you. I am Queen. I got you. Like I said, I'm far behind on answering. Lonnie, I have him. Okay. Can you make a video about the ISIS hacker? Let me see. He's number 1 on my list up here. I actually have his phone number. Arditz. Arditz is his name. Yeah, I'm going to do one. Any good stories about Boston, guys? I'm trying to think. I got nothing good, nothing bad to say about Boston dudes for real. Like a specific story off the top of my head right now. I can't think of any just off the top of my head. But again, I've always got along really good with Boston guys. I mean, I'm sure I can think of somebody, but in general, always. And I say it over and over again. Boston guys are like California guys in prison, a lot of them. Unashamed to be who they are. Let's just put it that way. Unashamed to be who they are and not undercover like the Italian guys in New York. Do you ever refer to other white inmates as what? I never did. I say bro all the time. I never said Holmes. That's a big California thing. Holmes. I've always said bro, dude. That's just who I am. What? Any comment on Lee Cole and his dramatic fictional counsel? Spirit of New Orleans, that's the first I've heard. I have not heard anything about Lee Cole whatsoever. I did that short with that song Informer in the background and his pictures in there. I just picked them randomly. Don't know anything about Lee Cole. Nothing. The only mob stuff that I've seen here since the last live, or let's say in the last month, was Joey Merlino beefing with that other dude. What's his name? The guy that's a snitch that's funny. What's the hell's his name? I forgot. Do you think the handlebar mustache is essential for someone playing a gang inmate in a movie? Lonnie, if you're playing a okay, so this guy Lonnie, by the way, people you guys might not know, he's actually an actor that has come into my chat because he was trying to gain a bunch of information, not in a bad way, on how to better his character as being a convict, a white convict in prison. If you're doing a movie, Lonnie, which you can't talk about, non-disclosure agreements, etc. If you're doing a movie that's based on California white guys, you should do the handlebar mustache. Okay, it's very typical. Where does that come from? Mexicans. What does most AB members emulate? Mexicans, because they grew up in that system. That was just time. Not saying guys in California want to be Mexicans. I'm just saying it's the same kind of style. You know what I mean? As was when I was a kid growing up as a surfer. You know, I always wore my Pendleton with I still, well, not much these days. My ex hated it, but I do the two top button things. It's a style, you know. I'm from California. I grew up in the surf skate scene, so yes, that's what it was. But to answer your question, do the handlebar mustache, yeah, and bald head. Me and my stripette. What's up, bro? Will you be going to Carmine Persico's grave? If so, do a video and say a few stories of the guy. Wow, Lonnie, I never even thought about that. So I haven't been to New York. I flew over New York. On the East Coast, I've been to, of course, Carolina, Virginia, Washington, D.C. Otherwise, the states from here to California. Yeah. I remember the Bender video, Gino. Bender Bender in the hospital. Oh, you're talking about, I think you're talking about the Bender when I was out of my brain. Dude, that was crazy. Rachel. Wow. So man, Rachel, I don't know how we contact each other again. I'd like to talk to you. I really would. And, I've talked about head here lately, and I really still want to do. So I'm going to do some about deceased brothers of mine. Okay. And head's on my list. So I'd like to talk to you before I do that for real. It would be respectful. What was fighting? It's you call it CERT. We call it SORT in the feds. It's Special Operation Resort Team or something like that. What was it like? Scary, stupid. So the SORT team. This is how I got involved in the SORT team. And by the way, again, watch tomorrow's video. Makes me look like a punk. makes me look like a bitch, but I don't care. I'm putting out a story tomorrow about getting punched in the mouth by a Crip. And I was talking to a former, you hear me, bro? A former leader of a large California Crip gang, one of the originals. Today we were talking, and about different YouTube stuff and other just lives in general. And I said, hey man, you remember when Capone blasted me in the face? Capone's another Crip. I'll do the video about it tomorrow. But I mentioned that because you just said what was fighting the SORT team like. And what I was going to say is, people have asked in the past, or people have commented, you weren't, you had to go to prison and at some time F up. You couldn't have always been like this dude you're portraying now, this tough guy, blah, blah, blah. And I said, dude, I did a video about somebody calling me a bitch and doing nothing about it. My family was there visiting me. My cellie called me a bitch and I didn't do nothing. Now, the family left the next day. He apologized, blah, blah, blah. But that was hard, But, so I'm not a tough guy, but I've not always been, I was passive once upon a time, didn't know what to do in political situations. So there was times, I grew to become the moron that I am today, or have been in prison, So the SORT team, that would be a growing experience. What happened with the SORT team is I started going to the hole a lot. First of all, when I got to Leavenworth, I'd only been in the hole in county jail. Chino, I got locked up when that band came in and I was drunk and I took off my shorts and I threw them at him. Was in my underwear after that because it was an all-girl band playing Alanis Morissette cover tunes. And I was, how people throw stuff on stage, and I threw my shorts. And I got put in the hole just like a drunk tank to wear off. But and I got put in the hole in LA County Jail when I got in my fight. Remember how they always told you to hit the first big guy you see? I did that. Big black dude. He fucked me up. With like a punch, man. With like a punch. But I had to go to the hole for like 3 days then. But at Leavenworth, I stayed out of the hole the first year and really was like not scared, but didn't want to go to the hole, didn't know what to expect. Once I went to the hole, that was it. Once you face those fears, then I thrived in the hole because the hole was really fun back then. The hole was fun in Leavenworth, especially if you were in your 20s, had a life sentence, didn't give a damn, and was known to use alcohol and drugs. The hole was a place to be. So the SORT team, I had seen my neighbor fight the SORT team. And this kid was Trevor Bjorkman, BJ Bjorkman, out of Minnesota. Trevor, marijuana case, 10 years. This dude, he always had a smile on his face. You wouldn't think he can fight. Loved to fight the cops. Loved to fight the SORT team. He would get drunk about once a week and say, all right, you bitches, suit up. That's what he would do. So I had seen the SORT team roll, and I remember thinking, damn, man, that's vicious. Well, there was a day that happened when they did cell extractions with 8 cells, 16 people in all, members of the Dirty White Boys. I was an affiliate. I didn't have or I just got my patch, or I almost, whatever. It was real close to that time. SORT team comes in. They start doing cell extractions. They were gassing everybody. And what happened was, I have asthma. On paper, it says I have asthma. So they could not gas me. Then they shoot you with bullets. That back then it was the bean bags. They had the bullets too. But we blocked the bean hole so they couldn't shoot in. So they couldn't gas and couldn't do that. After that, we got out on the range, but I would try to avoid the SORT team at all cost after that. But you're gonna lose. It's a lose-lose situation. When it came to Trevor, I saw Trevor, 3 cops had to be removed. They had to get replacements to take him down. So he was a beast when it came. There's like an art to it. You got to remember, the SORT team is trained specifically. The first guy, I think, grabs the left arm. Second guy, right arm. Third guy, left foot. They're instructed to do one thing. So they're going there for one thing. So if you know that, which Trevor did, you could kind of fuck with them, you know. But in all, what was fighting the SORT team like on the whole? It was hell. But I was drunk. I'll never forget when they hog-tied me. He made me pass out by choking me out. And when I woke up, I was hog-tied in the air, being escorted. I was in the air, hog-tied, and I was singing Sorry, Miss Jackson. And I have no idea to this day why I was singing Sorry, Miss Jackson. Do you intentionally fight the SORT team in the hole just to have some type of interaction with another person? Again, Trevor did. Larry Lorton described that's what he thought about the SORT team. There are some guys that do that. We did it out of foolishness. Kenny Lassiter, who I did a video about, was the shot caller, one of my brothers, one of the better ones. And he was disrespected by a cop, by a staff member, who called him a bitch. And he was demanding, the demands were, okay, everybody, in the hole, you have trays that come in, normally plastic trays. It is very important for the staff to get those trays after meals because guys can make knives out of those trays. So when you hold the trays, that's basically saying I'm keeping a weapon. So they will come for those, okay? They did not want to extract 8 cells with 16 guys. They absolutely had no desire to do it. And we never thought it was going to go that far. We were all super drunk. When Simic or Simmons was the lieutenant's name, told Kenny he was a bitch and remembered him when he first came in, how scared he was. Kenny said, F you. Before that, they were asking, what do you guys want? And Kenny said a carton of cigarettes. They said, all right, they were going to give everybody a pack of cigarettes to give up their trays. Kenny said, no, we want a carton for every cell. That's when they said, F you, you guys are being stupid. Well, when they called Kenny a bitch, then it was, oh, we're not going to let this dude call one of our brothers a bitch, blah, blah, blah. And that's what happened. So it wasn't about interacting for something to do. It was stupidity at its highest level, in its highest form. That's what it was. Okay. For some way you knew in the penitentiary system, what would you advise to be them or not getting into a situation where they're going to get okay, hold on. For some way, for someone, I think, you knew in the penitentiary system, for some way, what would your advice be to them on not getting into situations where they're going to get sexually assaulted or victimized? No. Look, when it comes to sexual assaults, let's just put it out. They're probably going to tag me anyway. When it comes to sexual assaults, this is what I will say. It's overhyped in the media and the times have changed, okay? So I've talked about this at great length. When I went down in Arkansas in the early 90s, it was very common for people to choose a daddy, or to get sexually assaulted. It was very common. It was common to have a punk. It was a status symbol. And I'm talking whites, blacks, across the board. Because people that are white get this interpretation of this impression that it was only black guys doing the assaulting. That's not true. That is not true. Now, I wasn't there in the 60s and the 70s when the ABs were formed and they said that they did it to protect the white race. I was not there. I was not in the feds or in the California Department of Corrections when the culture was such that it was cool to do something like that to someone or to have a punk. It was actually taboo. It was not something, white dudes didn't do it or they did not do it openly, okay? Very few instances. In the county jail in Arkansas, there was instances where I can think of them where younger white guys, that happened to them by other races, okay? Now, in today's time, what's happened in 1998, they had the PREA laws, Prison Rape Elimination Act is what it's called, I believe. The PREA laws did change a lot. They have everywhere in the prison, if something happens, call PREA hotlines. They got snitch hotlines all over the prisons, which people use often, by the way. So, and not just for sex stuff. I'm talking about prisons just full of rats everywhere. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Even in maximum security prisons. Might not be as wide open, but there's always, always, always institutional rats since the beginning of time. And I would argue more so now with technology because you can email staff, call them. There's a bunch of different ways. And then again, always watch your gang leader. Always watch your reps. Those are the ones that are in my experience, what I've seen, the ones that tell the most. But getting back to the sex thing, in my opinion, experience, and from what I know, it is not what people think and you see on the movies. It's not accepted. If you guys have heard me in the past, if you guys have been watching since I've been out this time, saying stuff about T.D. Bingham or old members of the ABs that were all booty bandits, all on butt, the reason I say that so much and emphasize that is because I'm telling you, the white guys nowadays, if they really knew that and understood, because a lot of guys don't, they wouldn't look up to those guys like they have in the past. They would not. I don't care what anybody says. People can argue with me all day long. That's just how it is. So what's the best thing to do? No, not joining a gang is the easiest answer. No. You don't have to join a gang. Again, this is from my experience being in the feds. There's state prisons are different. Every prison system is different. Every prison and every prison system is different, even if they're a lot alike. For example, in the feds, the USPs, what happens at Hazleton, Big Sandy, Lee County, the culture might kind of seem the same, but every prison has a day. Every prison, like Big Sandy, was off the hook, and then you'll have Big Sandy where it's not so bad, and then Hazleton's off the hook, you know? Sometimes you can have them different prisons at the same time, but in general, every prison's different, and every prisoner has a different experience. Two guys that are cellies can have totally different experiences, even if they're in the same prison. One could be a Unicorp worker, one could be a gang member, and their lives and their everything about their thought process is totally different, or what they think's going on in prison. And I've used that as an example. I had a cellie named Happy, worked at Unicorp. He thought these people were big shot callers. Those people were not. He thought this person was running this cart. They were not, because he wasn't in with the in crowd. He wasn't playing all the little reindeer games. So I know that was a long way of answering, but anyway, have you ever seen heavy objects be thrown on other inmates? Seriously? Yes. Yes. Bricks, cinder blocks. Yeah. What is the behavior of the old Italian guys similar to what you would see in the Goodfellas or the movies about? Nothing. So, okay, going back to mob stuff. People say, or they can misconstrue me as just being critical of mob guys all the time. I get fed by comments in a negative way, and I take off and do stupid shit and say stupid stuff. However, the Italians back in the day had it going on. There was more numbers. They usually stayed close to home, like Lewisburg. They all wanted, or Otisville. That's where they all aspired to go to. So when you have a lot of guys like that, let's say in Otisville, they're going to be running stuff, right? I will tell you that if in a prison where Italians run stuff, it would be a lot softer of a prison. Italian guys and gangsters go to prison and they're model inmates, okay? That's not a bad thing. It's a fact. They're mostly model inmates. Now, looking at through my lens of a former white gang member or whatever, and I've said this before, a lot of the white guys would think of them as marks. You're saying what was it like specifically? What is the behavior of the Italian guys similar to what you'd see in Goodfellas? So I never saw that. Okay, so I was around Carmine Persico at FCI 1. Carmine Persico was in Georgia Tech forever. He had his own TV because out of respect for being an old guy and out of respect for being an old mob boss, whatever. And for sure had perks. Joey Testa was so close to the staff, he got whatever he wanted, whether that was food, whatever. But as far as smuggling in tomatoes or smuggling in salsiccia through the visitation room and all that stuff, that's bullshit. Didn't happen. So those days are over. The days of the Mafia running stuff in prisons, which I've never seen, even though there was a lot in Lewisburg at the time in J Block, I've never seen what would be portrayed on the movies. What I can say about the Italians is they screwed up the prices of tomatoes. So there's something that called the tomato wars that was that I always heard was John Gotti's fault. Let's say tomato is 50 cents or 2 stamps, okay? Gotti would say, I'll pay $1 for every tomato, which increased the price of tomatoes in the prison. So they did that a lot. But as far as seeing the Italians run stuff and stuff like that, I never saw it. But I'm sure they did. I have no reason to believe they didn't. They were a serious force in American gangster life, American society once upon a time. There's still mob cliques out there. And I think on my next live, we're all going to take a vote on who should be the mob boss of what family. That's what we're going to do. Okay. Thank you for bringing R. Kelly and his BS up. Eva, you're welcome. And again, I just got so involved in this. My friend, let me spit this out. Excuse me. I know it's a bad habit. I'm strung. I'm strung out like a research monkey on tobacco right now. Bad. R. Kelly, what happened was my friend Rusty said, did you hear about R. Kelly? See what they're doing? It'd be good for your YouTube channel. I said, shoot me the brief. As soon as I saw it, I saw Mikael Glenn Stine. And I just went, my brain just was like, huh? Processing. And I'm like, Stine? Oh. And that's what happened. Then I was just like, oh my God. Then I started watching the attorneys. Then I read the affidavit, like straight up. And then it took off. And once I get on something, I get kind of fixated on it. Bad habit of mine, but I do. But, and then yesterday, after, I don't know, it was yesterday evening, something else about R. Kelly came up. I Googled something. It was a CBS report. I saw the name of somebody, producer, and I shot him an email. And he shot back and, wanted proof and stuff. And that's what leads me here today. And like I said, I'm going to get a hold of, let's see what we can do on Pacer. And I'll post the documents. Like what I just read, I was going to do it in a video format. I haven't done a live in a while, so I figured I'd do a live. And I was going to read everything. And again, technology is not my friend. It's not my friend. So, okay, very interesting on human interpretation of what intelligence is. You said that Madoff only knew about numbers in New York. Okay, so here's what he's saying. Very interesting on human interpretation of what intelligence is. You said that this is Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff only knew about numbers in New York and completely uneducated on everything else. Absolutely factual. I read an article, I think, by Steve Fishman, editor of New York Magazine, somebody I call a friend. We used to talk a lot. I was on his podcast. There's something called Ponzi Supernova that he did. I'm in there talking about Bernie. And one of the people in an article he wrote for New York Magazine said that Bernie was like talking to a garage mechanic. He was 1,000% right. Bernie Madoff knew about numbers. Bernie Madoff did not know much about current events, current affairs, or politics. I mean, I was going to say dumb as a box of rocks, but that's not true. Did not know, did not care, was not a reader. Started reading like Grisham and stuff like that in prison, and then he started really liking those kind of books. You know, just simple fiction, whodunit thrillers and stuff like that. But I even remember talking to Bernie about corporations, about forming LLCs for the purpose of corporate credit. That was a big deal about 2006, 7, 8, 9, especially at Butner. I will say Butner 1 had a bunch of guys that were about 3 years and under, actually 18 months and under, a lot of the drug program guys. And those guys were really focused, a lot of them, on what they were going to do when they get out. And one of them is finance, credit and stuff like that. So I was really hip to the forming LLCs for the purpose of corporate credit scheme. I mean, it's legal. There's a way to do it. And there's actually some guys that I just met in prison, a handful, that it's really easy to do and it's totally legal. But you can misuse it and then it becomes criminal and fraudulent. But I was breaking it down to Bernie and me and my friend Gary, as a matter of fact, and he was lost on it. It was just, you know what? It was low-hanging fruit to him. It was like stupid. Why would you do that when you can run a $60 billion Ponzi scheme? But Bernie was smart when it came to finances. Definitely a smart guy. But yes, it's true. His world was New York. I know that he had the house in France or whatever, in the boat that he went to. His wife spent like 6 months out of the year, I think, in Africa. She's real big on the causes in Africa. And yeah, he was shallow when it came to everything else. He really was. Let's try this. Okay, Rob, so I see anybody ever press Mac about that hit when you were locked up? Gino, David Mack did not discuss that at all. He would allude to certain things. Let me tell you about David Mack in prison. All about education. All about educating people and educating himself. He took programs not to pad his record and make it look good, because he wanted to better himself. David Mack is a very, very smart guy. He got addicted to the lifestyle. He was from that area. Yeah, he went to college and became a track star and Olympic, all that stuff he did. I mean, and that should, he gets his legacy, I guess, is sold short by that stuff, what happened with Biggie Smalls and all that. But if you really did a deep dive on Dave Mack, man, he's an interesting character for real. And he wouldn't so he ran every day, miles, and people wanted to work out with him. And he would not work out with guys unless they were enrolled in school. Yeah, I mean, he was about it for real. But did he talk about that? No, he didn't. Rob, I see you. I took my glasses off and I'm trying to read the screen. Let's see. Man, that's crazy. So you're back to your old handle, I see. I guess YouTube took you out of jail. Right before I came on, if you guys maybe have noticed or not, I set this up for 10 o'clock. Well, I was doing two things. I was watching a documentary about the pagans and the Hells Angels, their beef, and Conan popped up. Now you just bring Conan up. So Conan got released. Conan, a guy that him and I, this guy right here, his name is Rob, we did time with. became the national president of the Pagans, and he just got out. So let's keep an eye on the pagan. What's going on with the pagans? Oh shit! I just hit a button. What did I do? All right, so I just lost everybody's comment. No way, man. Come on. Fuck. All right, we're back on. Oh, man. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? In stream? No. No. You are live. Jesus Christ. What did I just do, people? Here we go. No, I don't want to open new tab. All right, so how do I do this? How do I get the comments back? Boom. Okay, what do I do now? How do I do this? This is stupid, huh? Okay. Obviously, I'm on. Damn it. This is stupid, huh? Okay. So, how do I get the comments back? Shit. I don't want to end live stream. I don't want to end it. I don't want to end it. I don't want to end it. I can't believe this. Damn it, man. I don't know what to do, guys. Oh, man. Okay, so if I do this. All right. Is this going to be? I think I got it. Is this going to be? There I am. Damn. Okay. Okay. All right. Man. Oh, fuck. All right. This sucks. Here we go. Do you think your writing ability has increased over the time that you were in the pen? I read some of your stuff and there's definitely an arc there. Lonnie, let me tell you something. I went to Catholic school from 1st to 8th grade. I stopped learning probably in the 7th grade. I went to public school and I was 3 years advanced because of Catholic school. So then I just got into partying. I got expelled for a drug possession, selling drugs on campus. Then I went to loser school, continuation school. And my first letter from county jail, I have to my mom and sister, ex-wife. I've got my first letters I ever wrote. I didn't know the difference between there, T-H-E-R-E, T-H-E-I-R, T-H-Y. Didn't know the difference. I knew nothing. To this day, right now, I know the noun is a person, place, or thing, and verbs are action words. Sentence composition, phrases, clauses, I have no clue what those are. None whatsoever. Okay? I taught myself to write after reading the book by Steve Early called The Hot House. When I read The Hot House, I was doing my second trip in the hole. Actually, I was doing an 18-month shoe program for an assault, me and my friend Dusty. And I told him, I said, man, this isn't representative of really what we're going through right now, meaning the hothouse. At that point, I started trying to write. I've got the manuscript for that. It's over 1,000 pages I wrote. Then in 2007, when I went to Butner, or 2000, really it was beginning of 2008, I came up with the idea for Convict Inc., the website, blah, 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 and I started writing. And that's what you saw. So if you saw Guerrilla Convict, that's the first stuff that I published outside of Convict Inc., which was the original, convictinc.com, which was the original site or website that I had. And then I started writing for Vice. So it just started coming more natural. I will say, in the last week, I've come up with an idea for a book finally that I need to write for me, and that I will probably go for my first serious novel. When I got out, I had opportunities for a book deal with somebody from Simon & Schuster. And, well, to date, addiction has defined me. So on that note, I was driving on back mountain roads here, and it all hit me on what I think I'm supposed to do. And I'm not really going to talk. One of the big problems I have is I tell like everything I'm going to do, and then that I don't follow through with a lot, or I'm late. So I said too much already, but I'm very comfortable with what I'm putting on paper right now, even though I'm still got a lot. I mean, I'm just figuring out the skeletons, putting the bones together. But I've had problems with writing. I've tried. When I got out, I started. It looked like I was going to. I contacted not my editors, but some. And I was going to really reach out to the main connections that I have in that world. I stopped myself. And then just on a whim, I'm driving, probably lost in my head here recently. And boom, it just hit me like what I needed to do. And you know what I just realized? My face is blocked here. So how do I do? Oh, well, whatever. It's too late now. All right. Anyway. Are you afraid of repercussions when you say Aryan Brotherhood? Do you get unalive on the outside world for saying these words? I don't live like that, Lonnie. So if you're asking me, and I'm just realized if you're asking me if there can be repercussions for things I say on YouTube about individuals, yes. If you're asking me, do I live my life thinking about it? No. Anybody at any time could do something to somebody. Okay. No, not to answer your question, not whatsoever. And it's just me. I always told you will never win if you decide to represent yourself and there's going to smoke you. I always told you never win. You will never win if you decide to represent yourself and they're going to smoke you. If you're talking about representing yourself, as a matter of fact, I'm in a court case right now that I'm representing myself on a civil matter. Who is the realest mob guy on YouTube? Joey, I would have to say. Party in the hole. What's up, Mike? I was trying to... Okay, forget it. What does being on meth feel like? What does being on meth feel like? Methamphetamine. So it's been a minute. So a year and some change on meth. Let me tell you, today's meth, or the meth from 2021 to 24, is nothing like methamphetamine of the past. Methamphetamine of the past, let's say, for example, you can drink a case of beer and you're not going to feel any kind of buzz. You're not going to feel any kind of drunk. Today, I think meth enhances alcohol. I don't know. Lonnie, it's totally different. Methamphetamine is like the drug I hate the most that you can't wait to do again when you're on it. It's all about dopamine releases, obviously. It matters on if you're doing something or sitting or engaged sexually. There's different things, but what people call meth now or ice is nothing like your grandfather's meth. It's nothing like your grandpa's meth. Okay, totally different. You know, Liz, what's up, Liz? How you doing? You don't even know you're acting a certain way. You start picking up certain behaviors just from being around dudes. If you have half a brain and are half cool, you should be okay. Oh, okay. That's Greg, you're referring to the prison stuff. El Salvador mega prison. How do I get rid of this, by the way, these comments? Okay, let me do this because this is blocking me and it looks stupid now. I've already done a whole show with it like this. El Salvador prison. I think it is totally inhumane. You can't argue with the fact that the prison has helped El Salvador. The policy of that president, you cannot argue it's not working. What he's doing by just locking those dudes up. But what they are doing by putting dudes in cages like that, in cells where they have to stay on their bunks all days like that, I just think it's sick looking at it. I have been accused of being a liberal. I'm not getting into politics. I don't care if you're lefty, right, it doesn't matter. But I do believe that it's wrong in today's world. But again, you can look at what's happened. El Salvador is a better and safer place because of the policy, it appears. But when I see those guys in cages, it's almost like sickening to me. And I know you can say, look at the guys, they've done this, they're killing people, they're doing, I get it. And that's all true. It's all true. According to what we know, or media reports, I should say. But, dude, I think it's horrible. I really do. I really do. Let me see something about this comment. All right. I shouldn't mess with this. I'm trying to get the banner off the screen or lower it or whatever, but whatever. Whatever. Okay. Okay, I was almost essayed in US. Okay, so Rob, I was almost sexually assaulted in the USP. A guy chased with his exposed penis telling me to look at it. So when Me Too happened, I knew exactly what the ladies were talking about. Okay, wait. I was almost sexually assaulted in the USP. A guy chased you with his exposed penis telling me to look at it. So when Me Too, so when the Me, I got it, Rob. So when the Me Too happened, you knew what they were talking about. You're an idiot. That was funny. How did you hide contrabands, phones, knives, etc. in the walls? Dave, so how did I hide contraband? How do you hide contraband? Look, you can put it in the toilet. You can, in Lewisburg, we'd actually break the walls and plaster the walls back over. There's a million ways to hide contraband. You can get a piece of sandpaper, get the sandpaper, run it over the top of a soda can. It'll eventually pop. You can glue it back on. You know, like the plate, like if you go to a head shop or something, they got those little stash spots and cans and light bulbs and stuff like that. We made our own. So there's a billion ways. All right, so I know what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to read this. The last Dirty White Blade video that you put up, Dirty White Boy, the art on the thumbnail, where did that come from? I just Googled it. So when I do thumbnails, I'll like say, hey, Siri, show me a picture of the Mafia or R. Kelly or whatever. And then they'll show, and then I'll scroll around. And then I do, oh, look at, look at, look.
And then they'll show, and then I'll scroll around from the web.
Gotta watch that bitch. So that's what I do. That's what ends up happening. And CapCut or whatever Mike taught me how to use. Oh God, the most respected dirty white boy shot caller and the least, Lonnie. It depends who you are. I can't think of one that was like that. That would be up to an individual. What I would say, people in prison might not agree with, or a different brother might not agree with. That's total up to a person's perspective. I would say Kenny Laster, the one that died, he was really good. The one that did a suicide by cop. The least no-no's Rick, for sure. I got to figure out how to do this, man. Damn it. When it comes to bugs in the food, you said it wasn't a regular occurrence, but you said it happened. Was there anything about you bringing in prison that made you not be affected by this? Okay. When it came to bugs and the food, you said it wasn't a regular occurrence, but you said it happened. Was there something about you bringing in prison that made you not be affected by the sense of it? Being in prison, I think you're saying, was there something about me being in prison? No. What happened? You're talking about bugs. It just depends. At Terre Haute, they had a salad bar before they took the salad bars off. There was roaches running around the salad bar. People would just kind of scoot them out of the way. You get used to being around a lot of bugs and stuff in prison. You ever see these documentaries of these people outside in foreign prisons? They sometimes eat the bugs. Where are you with? Yes, I was with Houlihan. Good guy. Did you got them now? Greg, I'm not really sure. Did you ever hear someone being beaten to death? Beaten to death? I've heard somebody being sexually assaulted in a vicious way. Liz, you wish you were tech savvy like me? Jesus. There was a prison that they let males and females hold hands in sexual contact was happening that resulted in pregnancy. That was Tucker in Arkansas. Okay, so as far as holding hands and stuff, that happened at Lexington, Kentucky. And I know guys there that had children as a result of that, or met their later wives or girlfriends. One guy got a girl knocked up in Lexington that I know of in the 80s. The second person I married, her name was Barbara, got pregnant at Tucker through the bars. That was 22 or 23 girls came up, knocked up in a 9-month period. Yeah, that happened. Who did Feather Indians belong to in the pen? Who did Feather Indians? What car did they go into? I'm not sure what you mean by Feather Indians. What's up, Doug? Made it live, brother. So nice, man. How you been, my friend? I've missed you. Good, Doug. I appreciate it. I've been good. I've had issues with tech stuff today, but such as always. Better be prepared in the courtroom or you will get hammered and piss off old judge. So I'm going to trial and I'm going to represent myself on this case. I tried a settlement. I was going to go for something else, but I'm just going to do it now. I've actually got the photos of me being dragged out and I was going to post them, but I'm too embarrassed. I read The Hot House as a teenager. I heard the author being interviewed on G. Gordon Libby's show and bought it. That Mike. What's up, Mike? Rob, you talking about it, Speed? I'm getting a rush. Stop. Why would you get a rush? Why would you get a rush on today's meth? When you had conversation with Aryan Brother guys, what was the difference between men and other prison gangsters you came across? Was there any kind of way they spoke? No. No difference. No difference, Lonnie. Evening all. Here too. I got a bolt, Rob. I'm burnt out. Worked a long day. It's hot as F today. No problem, Doug. Take care, bro. Divine Diva. Hey, Rob. Mr. Convict Inc. Did you see they denied R. Kelly's furlough? No, I didn't see that. Thank you for saying that. Duh. I knew that was going to happen. Thank you for saying that. That was so predictable, man. Thanks for the comments, and thanks for the comments you've been leaving too. Really. Yeah, look, I've never seen a court, I've never seen an attorney file a brief that cited no legal authority. When you file a brief, some pro se litigants can get away with it, okay? When you file a brief, you got to tell the court, you got to cite the statutes, which gives them jurisdiction. And he didn't. And it made me think that it was all a scam. They were scamming R. Kelly out of his money, okay? But then I did see the guy on Ashley Banshee. She popped up for whatever reason, actually did a pretty good job for herself. And he was like arguing about Stine. But no, I didn't see that. And, well, excuse me, that tobacco's killing my stomach right now too. But I want to put another chew in my mouth right now. And it's causing me stomach problems because I don't spit enough. But yeah, I'm going to check that out. So what are they going to do now? Okay. R. Kelly was supposed to file administratively first, okay? You have to file within the institution on any kind of confinement matters. So if you're talking about the conditions of prison, which being fearful for your life and saying that there's enemies against you that want to hurt you, you got to file, even if it's against BOP officials. Now, they can file an emergency and not injunction. It's called the temporary restraining order, which just means that he's asking to be sent out of that prison because his life's in danger. They can do that. Now it's going to be interesting to see what they do. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what they do. Excuse me. So that's something right there. Thank you for putting that one out there, though. Okay. So they only started letting white gang members back on the compound when you guys came in, but you were probably the most respected DW leader. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate that. So what he's talking about is this. 1997 and 98, they had what's called the AB-DC war. 97, there were some hits. 98 was the last big one, and they took out all white gangs after that. And then you have the end of 2002, beginning of 2003, where the regional director, his name was Mickey Ray, was the warden at Leavenworth when I was there. We had a history, not just me, but members of the Dirty White Boys. Mickey Ray couldn't stand me, but he did respect me, and I respected him. And other people. I'm not saying he respected me like I'm some big shot caller. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he was mad. He hated me. I told the story, so I'm going to say it again. Here's what happens. Me and a guy named Dusty it was a brutal assault. It wasn't supposed to go down like it did, but it happened in the chow hall. Now, you guys that have been to prison, especially you guys in politics, you'll know that hitting somebody in the chow hall is supposed to be a no-no. Some people consider it a check-in move because you're doing it, you're putting yourself on Front Street, and basically you're going to get caught. You're not trying to get away with it, right? The situation happened where we were clocking two dudes. It was supposed to be hitting two dudes. One guy and his best friend, a guy named Rusty and his friend Tommy. Tommy was my former cellie. We were going to do it at the same time. Doesn't matter why at this point right now for this story, but we couldn't get Tommy, so we hit Rusty. We did it during short line. Short line is an early chow for institutional workers, for kitchen workers, some Unicor workers, whatever. So we did it, and when we did it, there was a lot of time. So when Dusty hit him, I kicked the dude repeatedly in the head, and it was a very, 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 very vicious. There was a lot of blood, okay? We had on kitchen whites because I pretended to be a kitchen worker and snuck in the kitchen. I wore whites to get in the kitchen because there's a list and they mark people off. But if you're wearing kitchen whites, they wave you through. So we wore whites to get through. The cop didn't even pay attention. We go in, we take dude out, hit him. And there was blood from like my neck down. There was a lot of blood, all right? When they brought me out, they first tried to cuff me up. I wouldn't cuff up. You never want to be cuffed up when you get into a fight. If you get into a fight, they stop the fight, they cuff you up. One of the dude's friends can come and beat you up, okay? And you got your hands behind your back. So I wouldn't cuff up, which pissed the cops off. They get me in the lieutenant's office. They finally cuffed me up. And this lieutenant, it was Simic. I'm almost positive it was Simic. He said, oh, this was a dirty white boy hit. I wasn't involved. I was not a dirty white boy. This was actually 2 years before that. And I kind of cussed back. And there was a dude there. He looked like Jimmy Carter, our former president, his little brother. Okay. And he was talking. He was in a suit. And all of a sudden, this dude reaches up and grabs my shirt and ripped it open, and I tried to headbutt him. It was the warden. It was the new warden. It was his first or second day. His name was Mickey Ray. So that began our history together. Mickey Ray gets a job as regional director, which we do not know. And what happens is the dirty white, we were hitting each other. We were beating each other up in the gang, right? We were locked up. He comes back. He sees that we're in the hole. We were causing all kinds of problems in the hole. And he hand-selected 5 of us to go to his jurisdiction. He sent us to Lewisburg because Lewisburg just opened up G Block. G Block was the new SMU program, Special Management Unit, okay? So he sent us there believing in his mind that we'd get there and fuck up so they can lock us down and put us in a 36-month program. That was the whole intention. So when we got there, first, we were the first white gang, like he's talking about, since we got there, okay? And actually, Billy Weston was the first shot caller of us at the time, but he didn't last long because he was on the phone talking bad about the warden Dodgerel at the time, and they locked him up, put him in the SHU program for saying Dodgerel was a dick and this and that to his dad. And that's when it became me. And there was a lot of internal discussions on what we were going to do. Now, this sounds crazy. I knew that the dirty white boys were getting bad rep. Imagine that, okay? So I and some other ones wanted to clean up the name. You can't clean up the name of the dirty white boys, people, okay? Newsflash to any dirty white boys. You can't clean up the name. So, for example, I wouldn't take assaults or do contracts with outside of races and stuff like that. Because there are instances where a different group would maybe contract some white guys. I know that sounds crazy because it's crossed racial lines, but it happened, and caused somebody to fake a fight, but they're really taking out somebody else. There's a bunch of little Machiavellian shit that goes on, all right? But contract assaults or the prostitution game. I was never into the prostitution stuff. Some of my brothers at Leavenworth, what they would do is they didn't get a punk and pimp him out. A white guy that came in that was a homosexual that you knew was on that kind of time would get pulled up and say, this is the deal. You're not going to do your thing here. We're not allowing you to do our thing here. You're with us or you're going up top. Meaning you can stay on this compound, but they would sell him. And I say they because I wasn't a part of it. The last time was actually was no-nos involved, whatever. But what they would do is they would get the white punks and they would lease them. They would lease them out for 90 days for drugs. That's what it was. They would get the dope man that liked white dudes or whatever. It was because I'm saying that because I don't ever recall selling them to a white guy. It was always to a different race. But that's how it would be done. So at Lewisburg, matter of fact, Rob, the first one that came in that we had the big conversation on, remember that dude, Patty from New York, the butcher? He had that one punk down there who he fell absolutely in love with and was in J Block, and the New York Italian guys didn't care, by the way. That was the first conversation, like, what do we do about this? And we didn't, you know. So we tried to like not cause a bunch of, you know, stuff at the time. And yeah, so I think I did a good job. I do for what it was. But at the end I was unraveling for sure. And my own people threw a coup against me. Told me how to go. I mean, not how to go out of the game, but whatever. Do you remember a kid named Timmy Kondransky? He was Houlihan's caretaker. Timmy. Rob might remember him. Do you remember a kid named Timmy Kondransky? I don't. Rob might. The judge even said there was a conspiracy. Nice, Diva. The judge knows it's crazy. Oh, he still has a sentence in New York, and he brought the other dude in about the emails. This has to do with the New York case about flipping witnesses. Okay, all right. Yeah, you're in the know for sure. You've got this down. Liz Ryan, except for Carmine, what other mob guys refused to get abused, aka held it down, and someone on YouTube is trying to say Carmine was getting extorted? Can you speak on it if that's true or not? Liz Ryan, who, if you can tell me, I don't know if you want to, okay? So I tried not to, because I'm blocking me out of the screen, but so what, right? Carmine Persico get extorted is a crock of shit. I talked to a guy today who was a member of a large Crip gang that will tell you, that has repeatedly said when Carmine was at Lompoc, he was a man. Nobody could extort Carmine Persico. He wouldn't go for it. Okay? So, that is totally bogus. So I left Carmine, he was 78 years old. He passed like 8 years later, I guess. I still can't see Carmine being extorted in any kind of way. I would love to know who that person was and what they're saying exactly. Georgie Borghese out of Philadelphia, about it. Let me see. Rob, hold on just a second. Okay. Georgie Borghese, about it. Tommy Karate, I was with him in 6 months in the hospital, but very well respected. There's no way that I can see Tommy being pressed like that. Again, it's not like every Italian guy, everybody said, it's not like that. I'm saying that in circles with white gangs, and you got to understand what the Italians said about white gang members, okay? I'm very aware of it. It's not like you just see an Italian, it's more, it wasn't like that. I get mouthy and I get lippy and I get the response that I do based a lot of times on comments. But even when I do say that and I do get a little carried away, I'm not lying. There's a way that you can say stuff, okay? And there's sometimes I chose to go on the harsher angle or whatever, right? But I'm sure there's more, Liz. So I say Carmine, I say, well, like Joey Testa wasn't going to get pressed. Well, hell, I mean, you don't press staff. You don't press staff, but whatever. I hope that answered. In 97, they locked us down for 3 months. When we got back out, there were metal detectors and cameras everywhere and 0 white gang members till you guys came. Okay, Rob, that's right. Hey, some videos chat up. He has slipped a little about saying us or we, referencing the dirty white boys. Just wondering. Greg, what are you specifically wondering? For years, there wasn't any real cross-dressers. Then all of a sudden, they were everywhere. That's when Mexican dude got messed up with Vanessa and Joel with Kim. It was crazy. You're saying the Mexican dude got messed up with Vanessa. I don't remember. I don't know why I can't remember that. But I remember Joel with Kim, And Kim, that was a crazy. Yes, Greg, yes. He was. but I'm not sure of what's being said or whatever. You know what I mean? You know him. Watch his channel and what other guy, except for Carmine, refused to be a victim. Oh, okay. So, like I said, Georgie that I knew, Joey Testa wasn't a victim of anybody. Okay. So Jerry Wamet, not a victim. Very nice guy. No way would he be a victim. So yeah. So Jerry, Jojo Russo wasn't a victim per se, but he paid to have a crew that didn't really whatever. But so I would consider that not being, that being kind of, look, it goes back to the thing. Well, you can't compare the John Gotti incident because he was in a different situation. I was going to say it goes back to the issue like John Gotti. John Gotti paid the ABs to do a hit on a guy that then left the prison, but then he kept paying money. So some people will say that is paying for protection and that's okay. And then some people will say that's being a victim. It depends on which lens you look at it through, right? Putting on my bald head with goatee, California gang member style guy or gang member, that to me is victim. However, I can see the argument on a guy with money paying protection or whatever. That's one way to look at it. It's not the way that I would do my time, whatever. But who knows? Again, I don't have millions of dollars to throw around, nor did I in the joint. Yes, I lived comfortably and was and had family and others take care of me and had a hustle at some prisons that were very big hustles. But, to have millions and be able to do this, I don't know. I'm not in that shoes and I'm being kind. I don't know. But now you've piqued my interest in what other guys said, except for Carmine. So are you saying that the channel? Okay, so I'll figure it out. Liz. Yeah. Otherwise, what else? So I got through the comments. It's a little rough, but I got through them. Yeah, I got to go see the R. Kelly thing when I'm done here. What is it? It's okay. It's 12:20. I don't have to do anything tomorrow till I gotta go to lunch with my mom tomorrow, and she has to go to a lawyer or something for something. I'm gonna go spend the afternoon with her. Yeah, and I'm gonna put a video up. It's makes me look bad for tomorrow, but it is what it is. Maybe live tomorrow. I'll see. I'll see what happens. Rob, I'm gonna get back and look at what you sent, and you got the right guy, I do believe. A lot of the older, higher up mob guys look at everyone else like they should be carrying their piss bucket. That's why a lot more proud guys don't like them, like Danny weren't like that. Wow, you just said something really good. He's right too, okay? So a lot of the older, higher up mob guys look at everyone else like they should be carrying their piss bucket. That's why a lot of the more proud guys don't like them. Guys like Danny Farmer would not like that, okay? So you're absolutely right. It's some of the attitude. And hey, I'll give a perfect example of what happened to me. And I've said this a bunch of times. Sal Scalia. Fat Sal on the hit with Big Paul Castellano. Supposedly his gun jam. People are saying it wasn't him. I heard them say it was him, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Sal, I fought somebody for Sal Scalia not because he was a mob guy, because he was older. I didn't know that Sal started it. Wouldn't have really mattered. I was in the FMC hospital. Sal Scalia was dying he had stage 4 liver cancer. The judge said he should be let out. The Bureau of Prisons wouldn't let him out on compassionate release. He got in a fight. It was a younger black kid over a TV. He punched the black kid in the face. Other black guys separated him. The black kid wanted more. Sal wanted to fight more. They came back to the cell. Came back over to Greg's cell. I got involved and ended up fighting this dude. 2 months later, JoJo's there, Russo. They have an Italian powwow, want to go to the yard and get some sun. The guys were sick. A bunch of them were sick. Wanted to go get some sun. I pushed one of them down there, and Sal tells me, hey, do me a favor. Go stand over there and catch the basketball so we don't get hit. In other words, get out of our conversation, but make sure you stand over like our manservant and catch the basketballs for us. I looked at that dude and I said, pfft. And I went back, and Tommy Karate, it's because he looked at me like a junkie. Because I was on pills at the time, as was Greg DePalma, well, I'm not going to say the other one, but anyway, not now on that one. Tommy Karate wouldn't put Sal on check about that, and Sal came and apologized. Point being, I wasn't a New York Italian in the mob. I was nothing but a California junkie loser, so he felt entitled, even after. And it made me afterwards wish that I would have let that kid fuck him up. You know what I mean? I did for a second, but honestly, I was over it. I was pilled out. I was pilled out of my brain too. So let's see, Liz, what's up? Okay. Okay. Can you tell the story again with you, Carmine, and 4 other white guys? I think with the DC and the Carmine was swinging the cane. Sure, Liz, I will. I want Ryan's brother to hear it. Who's Ryan's brother? Okay, doesn't matter. I'm trying to figure it out, Liz. I'm just being, okay. Okay, I'll tell the story. Mikey Scars also said Greg DePalma was on pills on the street. Greg was pilled out. And admittedly so for a long time. And talked about like Sammy Davis Jr. And yeah, I liked Greg DePalma. Boy, he was a showboat. Man, let me put this up so people can see me when I talk. I want to see me when I talk, right? Is that my narcissism? I liked Greg DePalma. You talk about, I guess, the quintessential mob guy. If you think like poster guy for the mob, you'd want to be in a, okay, if you were in prison and wanted to hear mob stories from a real mob guy, you can be around no one better than Greg DePalma. Not Carmine Persico, not anybody else, because Carmine didn't talk about stuff like that. Greg talked about everything, including when he was 11 years old shooting a cop. Okay? From a high rise or from a 4-story or 5-story apartment building. Excuse me. And I'm drinking Kool-Aid. That's what's making me thirstier. Let me put a chew in my mouth. Now, I will tell you the story, Liz. I did it before. It's on one of my lives. I've got cherry lip. That makes me, I can hear all the comments. Now, I got lipstick on. All right. Put a little dip between my cheek and gums. Well, I did a live one time. I said something about putting a dip in my mouth and swallowing the spit. And I looked at the live afterwards and I'm like, oh my God, it sounded crazy. It sounded fucking crazy. All right. Copenhagen. All right. Carmine Persico. The story of Carmine Persico and the young DC black kid who, by the way, it was actually Carmine's fault, but let's get into the story. I'll do this for you. All right. So let's do the backstory. Carmine Persico was the only person at Butner FCI 1 that was allowed to have a table. Now, understand that this prison has gang programs. Sex program, drug program, a lot of sex offenders, a lot of less desirables, okay? So it's not political, so guys naturally there didn't have tables, and they frowned on having tables. Guys in the drug program were not allowed to repeatedly sit with each other at the same table after every meal because it was like gang congregation stuff, okay? That's the way they consider it. They had to change their evil ways. So they wanted people to have meals with other individuals to talk and socialize with other people. The sex offenders, well, they're sex offenders, they don't matter. You got Carmine. Carmine got there in 2006, I think, or 5, 6, and had a little spot in the corner where the Italian guys or Carmine's crew sat. Because sometimes there wasn't Italian guys from New York, so whatever. Carmine's choosing table, okay? So this table was a real pain in the ass for people like me who hung out with Carmine, all right? Because he was really not breakfast. He can forget breakfast because Carmine, he went to breakfast sometimes, but rarely. But on the noon meal and the evening meal, about an hour before dinner or chow, he'd start like, we got to make sure nobody's at the table. The table. Okay. Carmine had a lot of anxiety, a lot of food anxiety. Okay. So typically what he would do is he would have Stevie, the Greek, Stevie Milakis used to work the yard. So, or this kid named, what was the kid? Matisco, Junior Matisco. Bernie Madoff's celly, who used to hang out with us until we found out that one of his cases was sexual exploitation on his little brother. This guy looked like he was 13, actually, but he was 30. His name was Junior Matisco out of Pennsylvania. All right. So Junior and Stevie would hold down the table until Junior was found out to be a sex offender. Okay. Then he got the boot. All right. So Stevie would every day, he was yard crew, he'd sweep the yard. Then right when they called chow, he'd put his broom down and go hold down the table. Now, sometimes it takes an hour to run all the units, right? So Stevie would be sitting there holding this table down and it would suck for him. Or I can sneak out early and do it, but I hated the whole idea of the table. I don't like to dine, by the way, okay? A lot of Italian guys in prison like to dine. That means they want to sit down and talk and whatever. That's fine, okay? I've had to over gang stuff before because a lot of the stuff happens, a lot of the meetings take place at the chow hall, okay? But typically, I don't like, and I don't like the crowds, you know? That happens in the world too, I think. But whatever, I'm in my head now. So here's what's up. There was a kid from DC, and I say kid, he's probably about 30 years old. He was in the drug program, I'm pretty sure. Excuse me. My little spit cup. He was in the drug program, and he also worked the kitchen or compound. I forget his name. He had long braid. And this kid from DC, he started kind of basically holding down the table for Carmine at times, okay? But Carmine didn't like it. Not because it didn't matter about his race. What the deal was is the table was perfectly set up to see outside. And what do you see outside of the windows a lot of times at Butner? Women, okay? There's a lot of female staff, psychologists. By the way, if there's something with psychology, there's a lot of beautiful psychologists that work in federal prisons, okay? Or just girls in general, all right? So this kid was like half a stalker, not in a bad way. He was young and he liked to see broads. There's a difference in looking at broads and stalking broads with your eyes, or reckless eyeballing, all right? He was definitely reckless eyeballer, and you would think almost sometimes he's going to pull it out and start gunning girls down. I mean, he was a stalker, all right? But I will say this. What had happened was Carmine started abusing this kid verbally. Hey, what are you doing? What are you looking at the girls? He'd say, hell yeah, Carmine. You don't think she's fine? And Carmine'd say, yeah, what are you going to pull out your dick and start da-da-da? And the guy'd say, damn, Carmine, you got me like, this was the kind of conversation. It was funny, but Carmine was also really starting to get mad about this kid always being there. And the more he kind of antagonized the kid, the more the kid would sit there a little longer. So it started with Carmine making the comments, but then the dude started playing his little games. Now, I told you it would take an hour sometimes to run these tables. Okay, I'm giving you the whole story, Liz. So what happens is a day came when we were like the last unit. Okay, so the kid from DC, his unit came in, and it was guys from DC, so 3 other black dudes, and they sat at Carmine's table because the chow hall was completely packed It was. There was like no sitting room. So you got this table with one person holding it down and other guys that need a place to eat. So the dude says, basically, I wasn't there, but sit down and eat. Here comes Carmine, me, Chucky. Yeah, so whatever. Was Stevie there? Whatever. I don't think Stevie was. Yeah, okay. Anyway, what I see when I walk in is a table in the back. So a lot of times I wouldn't sit there because I didn't want to dine. Because when you sat there, Carmine wanted you to sit there with him for a while. It's not like I had to, but he liked to sit and eat slow. Even though he had food anxiety and rush, he still liked to eat. Maybe if you waited till the end, the cops would bring some extra stuff over and give it to him. They did that a lot, especially when Joey was there. They give Joey extra food. They give Joey stuff that they didn't make for the regular general population, okay? So there's 4 guys at the table. Carmine walks in, and he's beside himself. Boom, the table's crowded. So he gets his tray. He walks up, and the dudes are in the middle of their meal, all right? So the table's in the corner, so it's corner table at the wall, okay? Table, 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 table. So Carmine sits at the table right here, right behind his table, and he puts his meal down, but he doesn't sit. He turns to face his table, like waiting on the guys to get up, okay? So Carmine's like, "You done yet?" or something. Carmine said, and the kid said, "Damn, Carmine." And the guys, they were trying to hurry and eat, okay? Well, one of them gets up. He's really not finished, but the kid's like, fuck, he just, okay, let the old guy have his table. Well, the guy this one DC kid, the one that's the problem, you can say, he turns around, Carmine gets up and has his tray and goes to put his tray down, and it said, "Damn, he's all over the top of me, Carmine." And Carmine, Chucky said it. So during that live, Chucky said exactly because he was right there. I was going to sit down somewhere else. I didn't see this going on at first. So what happens is the kid turns around. Carmine says something smart, and I think he went to swat him or whatever. The kid, Carmine was moving or pushing or something, not swatting him, moving, pushing. The kid takes his Kool-Aid and throws it on Carmine. Chucky comes, boom, and hits dude. Did he hit him like that? Was that the first one? It was a push or a hit, and then staff the melee. I'm in the back. I come up. It's a crowd by that time. Chucky's getting hauled off. Yeah, Chucky gets hauled off. Did he? I'm sorry. Maybe he didn't hit. Man, okay. Okay. Whatever. So Chucky gets into it. The staff get involved. They take Carmine, Chucky, the one DC kid and the other one. There's like 4 people at first, okay? They then walk him out of the chow hall. Carmine is getting locked up, it looks like. First, they were going to get locked up, okay? So I run back to the unit to secure property. I'm very, very sensitive about personal property. When people go to the hole, scumbags come and steal shit, okay? So I don't care if it's Carmine, Persico, John Gotti, TD Bingham. I don't give a damn who it is. In this prison, Butner 1, you'll have a lot of scumbags that would rush and try to start going to take stuff. And Carmine and Chucky were cellies at the time. So I go to make sure that Carmine's property's secure, nobody's taking it. I think I went and padlocked it because Carmine was like me. There's people that are stupid like me that have a sense of pride that won't lock their lockers, all right? Because we're too tough to lock our lockers. Because I dare you to come steal from me. As a matter of fact, I didn't have a locker on my lock. I didn't even own a lock for years at a time. Stupid, again, stupid shit, okay? It invites problems, really. But, so I went to go lock Carmine's stuff up. Well, when I did, I'm in his room, and I can see Carmine walks up, and somehow Carmine talked them into not locking him up. The SIS guy was a very reasonable guy, and I think how it went, no, I know how it went. Carmine basically said, "Listen, if you lock me up, there's going to be more problems." And he was probably right, okay? There was also an older Norteño guy who was there for cancer. His name was Robert as well. This is a very serious guy, Norteño, from California. this dude was down for Carmine. So there wasn't any other Italians. There was Chucky was there, but this guy hung out with me and Carmine. His name was Robert. Okay. So Robert, had a cane and can barely walk in a shit bag. He comes and he's like, man, come on. Who we going to, let's go handle this, And I'm like, dude, chill out. You know what I mean? Let's figure this out. I didn't really want to get in a wreck over this. And honestly, it was Carmine's fault. That's not to say that I wouldn't have been involved. And if Carmine were to hold, I just don't know what would have happened. But Carmine comes back. When he comes back, he said, they didn't lock me up because of problems. And he said, listen, you go, we gotta take care of this. I said, what do you want to do? He goes, what do you mean what I'm gonna do? This motherfucker threw stuff on me. He's not gonna let him get away with that. I'm like, okay. So Rob's like, this is an older guy that spent most of his life in the California Department of Correction, who's on wartime. In his mind, Robert's mind, an act of war. War was just declared. Okay, that's really true. How Robert looked at it, and I'm like, fuck. Trying to do clean conduct. Got this website. Damn, that was my process. But okay, I'm riding. I'm riding. So, who brought? Okay, there was a person. Oh, Stevie, I think, went and told dude, hey, Carmine wants to see you on the yard. So it's that kid, and he brings. There's like 11 or 12. Again, you can go back and watch that video. I don't remember what it's titled. It was alive, but it was when we talked about it, we were both there. It was spot on, exactly. So we go out to the yard. Rob has like a knife made in his cane, or so. He's got a piece on him. Okay, I don't. Here comes Stevie. He's got a broom and a dustpan, and he's got some bone crushers in the dustpan. So we made it to the yard before they did. Boom. Here we go. We're strapped. Carmine's got a cane. So they go to talk. And Carmine, he wanted to talk about like the kid, like, hey man, he wanted to apologize. And how did it go down? When they went out to the yard, Carmine and the kid started walking first. Okay, like they're talking. And he was saying, Carmine, look, you disrespect me, man. You pushed me or something. And Carmine gets the cane and swings on the kid. Swings, no talk, right? Now, he's older, he's slow, he needed to be in a wheelchair. And at that time, I forgot how it stopped. I forgot how it stopped right now. I'm just having a brain fart. I'm sorry. Long story short, it didn't go further than that, okay? Oh, there was cops. That's what it was. There was cops watching it. Staff was watching it. But 100%, Carmine swung on that kid and was ready to go to the end. Well, that kid could have turned around and punched him in assault, and he was gonna go all the way with it. All the way. That kid was really scared and nervous afterwards. There is an article Jerry Capisci posted about the incident that was very accurate, that was written by Frank Morocco, who did not like Carmine. I did not know that for 2 years. I found 2 years later, I found out Frank wrote that. Frank told me. Frank was going home, he was in the hole, and he told me about how he wrote Jerry Capisci. And by the way, people that are news fans and want to talk about real news and sources, you're always supposed to, as a news person, you're supposed to be 3. You can do 2 or more. Frank Morocco wrote that piece to Jerry Capisci, word for word was posted, Jerry Capisci, no other source. Okay, just want to put that out there about Capisci real quick. No other source. But Carmine Persico, 100%. I can tell you at Lompoc, over a phone, guy cut him off phone, punched him in the face. Another incident at the table. My friend was talking about this not long ago. Punched the dude. Carmine got down. Carmine got down. He didn't care. He was about it. He really was. And that is a fact. Oh, Liz. Okay, okay. I now remember. I'm sorry. I do. So, okay. She wants Ryan's brother to hear it. I got it, Liz. Now I know who you are. So, Liz, I'm sorry. So, what happens is there's a lot of different people that comment. And then, sometimes I forget who's who. Now I remember. Yeah, I remember now. But that's what happened. And it's been said before. You can read the Jerry Capici article, and which is accurate about the stuff. I don't know what Frank said about the end, but I will say that guy was really worried that Carmine might have something done to his family. Carmine vented for a minute about something like that. The kid did apologize over and over again, and he did make it clear that he would never go near that table again, and he did not. And that's what happened. When Mikey Scars cooperated and they said they were looking up Greg, he said why he is your best agent out there. Because Greg talked. Because Greg ran at the mouth. He had diarrhea at the mouth. He wasn't like a rat, but he had definitely reckless eyeball. Thanks, Greg. He definitely had diarrhea at the mouth. Oh my God. Are you still making grilled cheese sandwiches with an iron? Rob, you know what I just did before I came on? I told you I was watching stuff. You know what I did? So I had a major sweet tooth, okay? I will not buy sweets in this house. The only thing that I have, I have sugar that I put in my coffee, but the only thing that I have as far as sweets is like pancakes I can make. That would be considered like a snack for a sweet. And peanut butter and jelly on tortillas usually, right? Well, I was like nicking. I was jonesing for some sugar. And I looked in my cabinet and like, what do I have? What did I have? Creamer, peanut butter, honey. What did I make? Prison candy. I just did that. Just did that. And then after I'd made the prison candy, what did I make? Prison granola bars, creamer, oatmeal, raisins, some nuts, creamer. Yeah, I just did that. Just did that right before I came on. Okay. Did Sack Taz ever say anything about his brother Tin Man? Any kind of description on what he was like in prison? No. And let me tell you something. When I knew Taz, the Sack was something that I just heard about. We were not familiar with. They were at Florence, Colorado is where they made their name. Yeah, Florence, Colorado is where they made their name and where they got their numbers. And then they went poof from there in the feds. Taz was, I see this kid who's tall kid, who's tattooed up from the neck down. Actually, it was this way. And he was playing basketball with the black dudes and he was fucking hanging, And we're like, check this dude out, man. First day on the yard, we see him. He's all hanging around black dudes. And, he's in there like roughhousing it with these dudes big time. And so after he's done, we're like, dude, who are you? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, I'm Taz. I'm Sack. We're like, Sack? And then right after within a month, here comes some guys from Florence, from Victorville. And they're like, yeah, Sack's like this big gang started. But no. I'll tell you what I've heard about Tin Man. And this is actually recently too. Tin Man came into the feds and he really didn't know. Nobody really knew what, he was still kind of wiggering it, excuse my language. So he was still yo-boying it. Taz was a member of the Bloods on the Street, which was a multicultural gang in the area they're from. Not Salt Lake, Providence or whatever. So then they went to prison and became this white gang. Okay, whatever. You can say what you want about the guy. He will go down in gang history within the federal. He'll go down, and the Sack has made a name for themselves that will live on. Okay, it will. Maybe not like the AB. Well, who knows? They've got they got 4 guys on death row at one time, so they did more than some of the ABs. Well, different time. I shouldn't go there. But he came in. He was wearing Tin Man. He was wearing his sweater inside out. He got put in check by some white guys. He stopped that. I know that for a fact. Yeah, and then he was likable. People liked him outside of gang stuff. They liked him, and obviously had a good mouthpiece on it because he sold it. He sold his gang stuff. It's what it really comes down to. You come in like that. You got a RICO case from the state. Nobody knows about you. I mean, in gang culture, in the world of gang stuff, you've got to give him his credit. No matter what you think of gangs, whether they're right, wrong, bad, good, got to give him his credit for what he did. So in my mind, he'll always get credit, for what he did. Whether I think the explosion of white prison gangs in general, it's got ridiculous in this country, all over the place. But I'll give respect where respect's due, for sure. Is Wilbur in deep? Rob, Wilbur is at FCI Hazleton, and I heard he looks just like Popcorn Sutton. Okay, he has a big, long, shabby white beard. He's still very, he didn't wear shoes a lot, even in the block. Goes barefooted. He's still all about dirty white boy. He's still about it. Still talking about this brother did this and this brother did that, and mad at me for YouTube stuff, but loves me but hates me, and you know what I mean. Yeah, he's against this. He's against the YouTube stuff. He didn't mind when I did the video about him. His baby mama did, and I sent him like $100 one time, long time ago. He's still, nothing has changed with Wilbur. Nothing whatsoever. Yeah. Oh, Liz, okay. Yeah, RJROSS. So RJ Rosso 1969 at Gmail. Yeah, I'd love to hear about this. Kevin Kelly. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Okay. Well, if you want to email me and tell me, yeah, I won't put out stuff that nobody wants. No, I won't do that. I can't believe you didn't remember Bruce, who used to make all that prison candy. He's the one who used to go to the orientation at Lewisburg telling people how he's got that. You know what? It does sound familiar, Rob. It's just, I don't remember. I can't remember. I can't remember at this time. Yeah. But yeah, Liz, do shoot me an email, please. And I hope you're doing good. All right, guys. So I've been on a long time. And Diva, thank you for telling me about the arts. Diva Divine Light. Thank you for telling me about the R. Kelly's latest. I just wanted news people to pick up on this from Tennessee, Bruce. Damn, Rob, now you just really... Anyway, so maybe I'll be off the R. Kelly stuff now. We'll see what happens with this court filings. Again, I'm going to maybe I'll do the video tonight before yeah, about me getting punked out. The haters will love it. All right, you guys, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. I am aiming to do a Saturday night live. I won't go nowhere this weekend. So take care. I appreciate it.